This is Arcpoint Sessions, where we hold space for artists to have real conversations. Today's guest is someone you've probably seen on stage gaining traction, both as a social media influencer and cellist, and I think also does music outside of that too, if I'm not wrong. So this is Jayme. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I guess let's just get started with something easy. What have you been up to lately? What have you been doing musically? Not musically?
Yeah. So this summer looks a little bit different for me because, like most people in the classical music community, most people like to go out and do festivals. And I actually ended up not doing a festival this summer, which was really different for me and something that I wasn't used to. I did that one TCMI festival here, but it was in Texas, so I didn't get to travel, obviously. But then for the rest of the summer, I've just been here trying to motivate myself to practice and just teaching a lot. So just teaching, I think I have like 13 or 14 students that I'm teaching right now.
Nice. Do you do mainly in person or are you teaching virtual?
In person. I have a few virtual Zoom students, but mostly in person.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, we could also just pick into that too. The stigma of having to do a summer festival.
Yes.
Every single summer.
Yes.
How has your history with that been? Have you done the festival pretty much?
Yeah, so I'd say in my undergrad, I was pretty good about doing a festival every summer, but it got to the point where I would feel guilty or I felt like I couldn't motivate myself to practice if I wasn't at a festival, which is somewhat true. I do feel like this year, now that I'm not at a festival, I do feel like the motivation to practice is really difficult because you don't have those strict deadlines and you're not somewhere where everyone else is practicing. You don't have that like external motivation. So you really do have to dig deep and find it internally, which can be really a hard thing. But I do think that not doing a festival this summer was the best route for me because, I've been moving, I've been here in Texas teaching a lot, making a lot of money. And I did have an opportunity to do an internship for a social media thing, but I just didn't take it because it wasn't paid. So I, of course, was like, well, I might as well just stay here and, make money.
Yeah, so you're finding that like being able to say no comfortably type of thing, which is a good thing. A lot of musicians, as you know, say yes to everything, myself included.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a big thing. What festivals have you done?
In my undergrad, I mostly did Green Mountain because my professor taught there. And then I did Castleman Quartet program 1 year.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Pretty good ones.
Yeah.
Check them out if you're watching. Okay, well, let's get into maybe like a historical thing, like who you were, what raised you.
Sure.
Made you who you are.
Yeah.
So I know your big thing on your platform is vulnerability, honesty type of nature.
Totally.
Within a mindset realm, but also I think physical, right?
Yeah.
Totally. Did that come from your musical background? Did that come from learning from what not to do?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think just my experience being a classical musician, I think I've noticed a lot of people hold back in terms of like what they're really feeling and thinking at times. And I think there's this stigma to always be this perfect classical musician, to always get the perfect 4-hour practice session every single day. And if you're not getting in those 4 hours, then you're lazy, you're not cut out to do this. And I think like I was kind of, surrounded by that mentality for a while. And I think that I think I was really trying to do that. I was trying to be perfect because I'm a perfectionist. I was really trying to make sure I always got in those 4 hours. I wanted to, be good enough to get into a good master's program. In my undergrad, that was my goal. I wanted to get into a really good master's program. I wanted to, make all my dreams come true with music. At the time in my undergrad, I really wanted to do studio work. I'm, still interested in that, but, things change as things go on. But I just wanted to be good enough. I wanted the external validation of someone telling me I was good enough. And so, I did those 4 hours a day. But then I got injured, because I wasn't being mindful. And I feel like the majority of my undergrad, I kind of dealt with some tendonitis pains, had all this tingling in my left arm. I did a whole year of occupational therapy my senior year of undergrad because I was taking the grad school auditions, but I was also, you got your recitals, you have all your things for school.
Yeah.
But I, of course, didn't really want to take a gap year because I thought that I would kind of lose momentum if I took a gap year. So I said, you know what, The injury wasn't super serious to the point where I couldn't play. So I just kind of was doing like management, like, ice, heat, all my exercises, all the stretching, all the occupational therapy sessions, massages, anything I could do. And I was,
Acupuncture?
huh?
Acupuncture?
I did not try that.
Okay.
But I want to try it. It sounds cool.
Sounds
But yeah,
scary,
so I was just
honestly.
kind of like managing, doing whatever I could, and just like trying to do the grad school auditions. And then of course it did work out. I'm here at TCU. I have the graduate assistantship, which is awesome. I love all of that. But yeah, so I think like part of that, like just the whole mentality of being like so, I don't want to say toxic necessarily, but just like the idea that you have to like, always get in these 4 hours. And then I think like, it's like so cut in stone, like kind of like, oh, you have to do this, or else you won't be successful. It kind of has like that idea around it.
Yeah.
And I think that was a little bit unhealthy for me because it led to me like not listening to my body and not doing what I felt like I needed at the time. And then it also led to me having like a lot of mental health issues, like anxiety and like sometimes some depression, because I just always felt like I was never going to be good enough because I was never reaching those unrealistic standards that I set for myself.
Right.
Yeah.
So were you hearing that you need to practice 4 hours from your teachers, or was it from your environment surrounding you?
It was a little bit of both. I mean, like, I think a lot of programs, I think a lot of people kind of, if I think I've heard teachers say in the past, like, if you want to get these jobs, if you want to do this, like, you do need to put in the number of hours, which like I fully believe. I do think the number of hours, like that is essential to getting those like big jobs, and I think there's just no way around it. Like you have to practice, you have to put in the time. And so I fully agree with like the mentality of like you should try to like reach a goal of a certain number of hours a day. However, though, for me personally, like I think I had to find a balance where I could like mentally take care of myself and physically while still getting in those productive hours, because I think like, so for me, honestly, like being fully transparent, for me, like a perfect practice day, if I can get in 3 really, really productive hours, just 3, like I don't need to do the 4. If I can just get in 3 really, really good ones, I feel really good with that. And that like, yeah, maybe if I got in the 4, maybe I'd be getting like a higher, New York Phil job or whatever. Who knows?
Or you could be injuring yourself.
Yeah,
again.
right.
Yeah.
Who knows what could happen? But I think like for me, if I'm just like creating a consistent goal of like, if I'm doing 3 hours a day, to me that's like perfect,
Yeah.
So, and I found that balance, I found that my senior year when I was doing the occupational therapy and everything. I was like, okay, my body, especially with orchestra rehearsals combined, like my body can only take 3 hours of personal practice. And then when orchestra is involved, like that's going to be 6 or 7 hours of playing a day. So, so for me, like I had to find that balance for myself. And like, that was when I felt the most comfortable and the most productive.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing. I don't know about you, maybe you preach similarly with your students, but I have students that are like, the people that are at Juilliard are practicing 6 hours a day, blah, blah, blah. Well, the reality of it is a lot of that is just myth that is being told by the professors to get younger people to practice too.
Yes.
And yeah, I think the biggest thing about that practice hourage is not the amount of hours, it's not quantity, it's the quality of those hours, right?
Yes, totally.
So very big realization, and I'm glad that the injury is not as prominent, hopefully.
Yeah. I think I had the most amazing occupational therapist in Denver. She like would give me those like nice massages every week, like every time I come in, and she was kind of just like, we're just gonna manage and get you through these grad school auditions. And that's, exactly what we did together. And she did everything she could just to make me feel comfortable. And then, once the auditions were over, once my recital was over senior year, I was able to take like a little bit of a rest, a reset. And then really this year, I feel like the first year of my master's degree, I was able to really reevaluate some technical things. And I've even discovered more and more ways I can release tension. And I think like overall with that, like releasing tension, finding a really healthy balance of like practicing and not overworking, I think those have helped me kind of maintain.
Yeah. We want that ease while playing.
Yes.
Well, when did you start realizing that you wanted to talk about this, I guess the stigmas, the unhealthy things that happen with classical musicians, as silly as our craft can be sometimes? Did you realize that kind of during that injury point? Was it before?
Well, honestly, I think like my page, the thing with it is I try to make it really candid, like on social media. I make it really candid because I'm not always necessarily like talking directly about certain issues, but I make it candid in a way that's like, You know, I'll post a candid video of me practicing, just some clips from my practice session, and I'll be like practicing on a day where I didn't have motivation. And that's all. Like, that's all I'll say about it. And then maybe in the comments, like in the caption, I might say, you know, I had a really tough time getting out my cello today. Like, you know, and I just give like a really honest comment about like how I was feeling that day. But I feel like I'm not necessarily like sitting down in front of a camera and like talking about what I believe is the issue with the classical music community. Because my goal of my page isn't, because I think, you know, I could do that for sure. And I think like that would be valuable on my page. And I feel like in the past, maybe I've done a little bit of that, like on my stories and stuff. But I think like for me to like integrate it comfortably into my content, I decided just to kind of like share what I was feeling every day and just make it pretty candid.
Yeah, like a diary.
Yeah, like a diary. Yeah.
I'm gonna check this real quick.
Don't die on us. Oh, it's blinking again.
I'm not gonna tag you in my product. Let's see if it works still. We'll see. Cut. Okay. Okay, so we talked about practice diaries and all
Practice
of that.
diaries.
So I think the next thing I wanted to ask you is, with your platform and talking, just being candid like that, talking about, I wasn't feeling like practicing today, or sharing like the behind the scenes, day in the life as a grad musician or something like that.
Yeah.
Have you felt that that comes at a professional cost in any capacity?
Personally, no. And I think I'm pretty intentional about what I choose to post and not to post because you know, and I'm not gonna like name drop anyone or anything like that, of course. But like I have seen like classical music pages that are I'd say they're a little trendier. Like they're on the trendier side. They're aligning with all the trending audios. They do like kind of silly things. There might be like some cuss words or maybe like more vulgar humor. But I like choose specifically not to do any content like that because I want my page to come across as like really professional and more just like I think you can still be professional but also have like vulnerability. And I feel like I try to be that way with my students a lot too, like even teaching private lessons. Like I'll be really honest with them about stuff, but of course like keep it at a really professional way. But like if they come to me and they're like, I don't know how many hours a day I should be practicing. And I always like, I'm super honest with them. I'm like, you know what? Same. Like, you know, and like, and we'll have a conversation about it. Like, it's like, yeah, like it's hard to figure out a right balance for you. And, you know, and like this, trying to decide what you should and shouldn't be doing. But okay, what was I saying with this? Coming back to the question.
You were on the question still. Professional costs.
Professional. Okay. I wouldn't say, so overall, wouldn't say there's any like professional cost, but I think there's one video in particular, and I'd say it's probably my most vulnerable video on my page, and it's like kind of like me listing out, you know, it's like I'm 23 years old and I'm not afraid to admit that, and then I have all these things I'm like listing out that are very honest, like completely honest. And it's just me saying like, you know, I have no idea what I'm going to do after I graduate from my master's. Sometimes I feel extreme burnout and I don't enjoy practicing anymore. Or sometimes I feel like I'm never going to get my dream job. I'm never going to be good enough, you know? And that video, I think a lot of people resonated with it. I had a lot of support in the comments of people being like, same, I thought I was the only one because no one talks about this, you know, which is crazy because I know for a fact every single classical musician has felt these things, but just no one wants to admit it because they think it's like a sign of weakness or something, but it's not. I think vulnerability is power. Like that's my thing. But I think like there were a few people in the comments though that were like, well, you should just give up. Well, you're just, like, and just, you know, saying negative things. But those people, I specifically, like, just blocked, like, right away. Like, I didn't care who they were. If it was, like, something that just was, like, you know, unhelpful, unproductive comment, like, I would just, you know, or just hateful. Like, I would just completely block that because my page is designed to be a community and a positive community and a place where people can feel comfortable to like share and where I can feel comfortable to share because it's, you know, my diary, right? Yeah. So if I see people like saying rude things, they just get blocked right off the bat.
And I think that the rude things, even if it's just one, I think of it as like the Reddit warriors or whatever, you know, even if it's one person, it can kind of start to influence other people's attitude and everything. So it's important to find a way to manage those people. I guess on that note, the vulnerable post about I'm 23 and I'm not ashamed to admit, that's a perfect example of, I think, your brand and what you're trying to do is give this sense of yeah, you're okay if you feel burnt out as a musician. It's normal.
Yeah.
But do you think that the classical world punishes people that are vocal like that, or go against the grain?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I've thought about this a lot too, obviously. I think that, in my opinion, I think the classical music world is changing. And I think what the world was 15 years ago is completely different now. And what
Oh yeah.
I'm starting to see right now with classical music, I'm seeing that the people that have something unique, that have a unique social media presence, that maybe have another skill that accompanies their awesome cello playing, I'm seeing that those people are the most successful people. Like, there's people that are also like videographers and they do like funny videos, and then and then they're also like an amazing cellist, amazing professor, whatever it is that they're doing. And I think like those people having like that versatile skill set, I think that is what makes you stand out in the community. So
Yeah.
I think, in a way, like what you're saying, going against the grain, I think that of course you want to do it in a way that's like tactful. Like if you're going against the grain but doing something like, I don't know, just really, I don't know, maybe like unprofessional or something, like,
Yeah.
I think that could be hurtful, obviously, because you just, in general, you don't want to be unprofessional.
Right.
But I think if you're going against the grain, in a meaning like, pursuing something outside of that, you know, standard classical music path where, okay, you go to conservatory, you practice 6 hours a day, right? You go do your master's degree right after you go to conservatory, you do your doctorate degree, no breaks. You go, you're professor, like whatever it is you're doing.
Auditioning for symphonies.
You audition for symphonies.
And you become a professor.
Like whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's like that standard path, which is a great path, by the way. I'm not like saying anything bad about that. Like if people can do that, if people have the mental capacity to really like focus and do that, like I think that's amazing. I think it's like admirable. But for me personally, I didn't feel like that was like, and I don't know. I'm still in my grad program. Who knows what's going to happen? I could take a year off of school after this and then decide, hey, I do want to do the DMA, whatever, But I think like that's super admirable. But for me, I think integrating this like social media presence has been really key for me to feel like I am not only like doing some work in the practice room, but I'm like putting it out into the world. And it's like, I feel like I'm like sharing what I'm doing with a larger audience now. And I don't know what that means for anything like professionally. I don't know if that's going to open doors, but I do think like it does help me stand out in a world where everyone is doing the same thing. I think having something that makes you stand out is only a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that I've heard on repeat is versatility is key, right? And the thing I wanted to bring that up with is I brought you on mainly because of that social media presence.
Yeah.
And time again, I've heard, oh, these people just post on social media for attention.
Right.
Or they post and they're compensating for something.
Or they're just not a good musician and they're just posting to post or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'll kind of open up the kettle here. Even if that is true,
right,
for some people,
right,
who cares?
Who cares? Yeah, like at least that person could be getting 1 million views, and it's like, have you ever played a concert hall for 1 million people? I don't know. Like those haters, maybe they're just jealous.
I guess it's the same trend as what we could talk about in any social realm. Is as long as they're not hurting anybody else, what's the matter with it, right?
Right, exactly.
And I think that's a big important thing, because as we change, you said the past 15 years in musical year has been completely different. Totally. And I completely agree. We've seen agencies for musical management be all bred on social media rather than like knowing the right connections.
Yes.
We've seen podcasts, we've seen people take professional stages because they started posting on social media.
Yeah.
We've seen teachers that start to get limelight because they've started posting their tutorials.
I think about like Ray Chen, like he has like crazy like 1 million followers or something.
His whole tonic program, and then tone bass with the other people.
Yes, tone bass, it's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things you can do, and it also just bridges this accessibility concept.
Yes.
Rather than having to go to a music festival.
Right.
Or having to study at Juilliard.
Yes.
You can have access to that Juilliard teacher through a YouTube video. That's not the same, but you can have
there's
some
accessibility.
Sort of,
yeah, exactly.
And I think that's a big thing of what people like you are doing. You're bringing this, hey, you don't have to practice 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Totally.
I guess this is kind of a segmented type of thing that I wanted to do with this too. I try to think of it as like a time capsule. So this is for you, but also so people that follow you or might learn about you here,
Yeah.
and then follow you. I guess we'll call it a resonance moment
Okay.
for the pun. So it's like a reflective thing that a truth you've come to find that's very core to your identity. So do you have anything that's kind of like something that's boiling in your identity that you're thinking about and trying to figure out what's core to yourself
To myself.
that you want to take back and reflect on in a year or something like that?
I feel like this is like not even totally music specific, but something that I've really been thinking about a lot this year in particular. Because I don't know, I'm sure you know this, like with your first semester of master's degree, it's just so intense. Like
Yeah.
it's just like that first semester of your grad degree, that is some of the most intense work I've ever done, like academically, musically. And it just like really made me reevaluate kind of just like what I was doing with school. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so crazy. This is so intense. Like, you know, mentally I felt exhausted. I felt like I was already flat and I felt like people just kept stepping on me. Like it was like one of those moments where I was like, what is going on? But for me, I like really came to the realization this year. Also, this is also because I'm a really big people pleaser. I came to the realization that no matter what I do in life, no matter what I choose to do with music, how I choose to use like these 2 performance degrees I've had. So I had performance undergrad and performance masters. No matter what I choose to do with these, I just know that everyone in my circle who loves me and supports me, they don't care what I do at all as long as it makes me happy. And I've started to come to that realization because I think a lot of the time I felt like, oh, well, I should do this. I should do this. If I don't do this, I feel like I'm going to disappoint people, like certain professors, certain, my family, like things like that, or my friends, like, just like feeling like you're going to be a disappointment. But at the end of the day, like, I truly believe that everyone who loves you and supports you, like, they will be happy with no matter what, as long as you're doing like what you're happy with,
Yeah.
like they want to see you fulfilled in life. And if that fulfillment comes from something other than, your initial plan or whatever that was, I think they're fine with that. And at the end of the day, also, this is kind of like bleak, but no one cares about what anyone else is doing, right? Like it's true. Like, I feel like everyone is just too caught up in their own lives to really like,
especially musicians.
Yeah, especially musicians. Like everyone's so caught up in their own thing to really truly care about what anyone else is doing.
Yeah.
So sure, maybe you might have one judgmental comment if you say something to another musician like, oh yeah, I just did a master's degree in performance, but I'm gonna, go do something totally different. You might hear something from someone once saying like, oh, are you sure you want to give it all up? Like maybe, I don't know. Maybe someone would say that to you. I don't know.
People for sure say that.
Yeah, maybe. But it's like at the end of the day, who cares what they think? And also they're going to say that comment and then go home and never think about it again. And you're going to be stuck thinking about their judgment on you.
Yeah.
And they're just going to give you the judgment and then go, okay, well, I'm done. So at the end of the day, their opinions don't matter. Like you have to do what makes you happy. And if that's doing something fully in music, like great. But if it's doing something where you're doing a combination of music and something else, great. No one should be judging that.
Now I have a little bit of a follow-up too, because I think a lot of what you were leading towards there is based on this question of what is success.
Yeah. Totally.
So what is success to you?
To me, like it's going back to what I literally just said, success to me, like a successful life in general is a happy life. Like if I feel happy and fulfilled with my life, and if I feel like love, relationships, happiness, like to me, those are the most important things in life.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, sure, I want to make money. Like I want to be successful in that way. Like I don't, I want to make something of my name. Everyone does, I think, probably. But, if like having the most high paying career, like say I won the principal cellist of New York Phil, had this amazing high paying music job. That doesn't mean I'm going to be happy though. Like to me, I'm like, that'd be great and awesome, but like, who knows if I'd actually be happy. And for me, like it gets to the point where it's like, if I have a job where I'm fulfilled and happy, like to me, that is success.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a big thing that I've honestly battled myself. So it's again, another reason that vulnerability within the musical scene is so important.
Yes.
When we're trying to win all these competitions and everything, only so many people can win.
Yeah.
And it depends on the panel. It depends on
so subjective.
a lot of different things. And this concept of success, I think what you said right then, it boils down to who really cares?
Yeah,
just
who
do your
cares?
thing.
Just do what you want to do. Because like at the end of the day, if you have haters, like it's just because they're jealous, probably, you know?
Probably.
Like they're probably just like upset that you're doing something that they're too afraid to do, you know?
And then if you're your own biggest hater, that's something you also have to work on too,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Like if you're being so harsh on yourself and no one else is, which like was me for the most part, you know? It's like, okay, I have to like figure out like why I'm being so harsh on myself and why I'm putting all this pressure on myself, because no one else is putting it on me, you know? So.
And I think that's probably, I mean, it's a bold thing to say that what we do is a little bit silly, right? We're playing on these wooden objects.
We're not neurosurgeons.
Right.
We're not doing brain surgery.
But then we have to think about this concept that art has been around for as long as humans have, essentially, right? And it elevates society. We do this not for ourselves. We do this for the community and the environment around us.
Yes.
It's brought a lot of social change. So this is, I think, another thing that we have to realize too, is it's not about winning the jobs. It's not about appealing to what other people want in us. It's contributing to something better for society.
Totally.
Because as much as doctors can save lives, they can't make people smile.
That's true. Maybe not.
I say that with a lot of doctor friends. So,
oh my gosh,
I might get canceled for that. Okay.
Only if they're a really funny doctor. That's the only way they can make people smile.
Or like a dentist.
Yeah, or like a dentist.
Maybe a dentist.
Maybe a dentist.
Even then.
Yeah, I don't really smile. Floss. Yeah, I don't really smile at the dentist.
Yeah, it's not a fun time.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about like mental health.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah?
Sure.
So go off of the vulnerability route. We both know that as a musician, there's a lot of mental health tax. And I think that comes from the pressure we have trying to earn that money that we do need to survive, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But also to this idea that we were just talking about success and everything. What have been some strategies you've come up with throughout the years to cope?
Yeah. Well, I'd say for me, anxiety has been like the biggest struggle for me. I've always had pretty horrible performance anxiety, like debilitating, like I'm just like physically sick before I perform usually.
Yeah.
So honestly, I'm just going to come out and say it. I use beta blockers, changed my life. I know a lot of people are really against it, but...
She could be canceled now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if people want to cancel me for using beta blockers, that's fine. But like to me, like I had a physical issue, like a physical sickness. And I was like, I just like couldn't even like think straight when I was so nervous, you know? And I've always had like a little bit of anxiety though, just growing up. Like that's just always been how I've been, you know? But yeah, so when I got to my undergrad and I was trying to like, not only like do all my academic coursework and like put my mind into that, do well, but then also, you know, like actually do well on the performance side of things, I just got so in my head and just like did not feel like I was, you know, playing to the best of my ability ever. So then when I talked to my doctor about it, she's like, you know, I took these through medical school. Like, I think you should give these a try. She put me on an extremely low dose. Like, some people might even say it's placebo. But hey, if I don't take them, my heart pounds so fast that my cello moves, you know? Like, it physically moves up and down. So, like, for me, like, I don't think it's placebo, personally. Yeah. And, you know, if I'm feeling super comfortable, like, I feel no stress at all, I might not take one. But most of the time, if I'm recording, if I'm, you know, performing orchestra, like whatever, orchestra, chamber music, whatever it is, solo, I'll just take like a half of a tablet and just, you know, and it's really helpful for me. Like it's really helped me have like the mental capacity just to like experience the music rather than like, you know, feeling like so physically out of it to the point where I can't think of anything other than like, oh my gosh, like I can't do this, you know? Right. So yeah, so beta blockers first thing is the thing that helped me.
I have a question too about that. Because I think a lot of people have this conception, I don't know if it's a misconception about them because I've never tried.
Right.
That beta blockers, if you take them, you do become more calm, but I've heard it as a misconception or conception, it also can make your brain more numb to where you don't have musicality or whatever. You don't feel it. What would you say about that?
Yeah, you know, and I think like it's hard to say because I think they, obviously affect people differently. I will say there have been moments if I'm not nervous enough, because like I said, I really want to take these when I'm the most nervous, and that's when it helps me the most, because it really does just like allow me to like, okay, because like it is like beta blockers only affect you physically. They don't do anything to your mind. But when your body reacts in a certain way, when your heart rate slows down, when you stop sweating, you know, like your mind reacts to that. So people saying that it's making their mind numb, it's not the actual medicine, but it's the physical response that they're getting. And their mind is maybe like confused. Like, okay, we're performing right now. Why aren't you freaking out? Why aren't your palms sweating? Why isn't your heart racing out of your chest?
And then you have the same anxiety about other things.
Yes.
That you were
So I think like
numb.
that might be where the mind numbingness is coming from. And I will say there have been performances where I wasn't like super nervous to perform. And I think specifically with chamber music, it sometimes can be tough, because I have noticed, and my chambermates have noticed at times, that I actually take things at like a slightly slower tempo when I perform, which is great for solo. Great for solo, great for playing with the piano, because I would obviously like if I'm nervous, maybe like rush a little bit. But when I'm on the beta blocker, I do feel like in general, I like either take it right at the tempo I want to take it, or maybe just a click slower. And my chambermates in the past who say didn't take beta blockers, but I'm on the beta blocker, they might want to rush. But I'm just maybe staying exactly at the tempo we were at, or maybe just slightly slower. And I think there have been times where I feel like, you know, we're together, but I'm like, like I feel like I'm moving in slow motion. And maybe that's where like the mind numbingness came from at times, where I'm like, I'm not like super invested right now. I feel like I'm an observer of what's happening. And that's I've had like
which is kind of helpful.
Where I've had a few experiences where I felt like that. But I wouldn't say it was like anything like too negative to the point where like it ruined my performance. But yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky to know how much of it is like the beta blocker, or how much of it is just like you and like your mental state that day, that particular day.
But flow state is so hard to really get control of. And I guess that's maybe what you were leading into before I interrupted about the beta blockers.
No, it's okay.
What were you going to say? You had a train of thought that I...
With the flow state.
Maybe it wasn't that, but...
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I think if we're just going back to like the whole anxiety discussion, like ways I've managed. So I think, number one's the beta blocker, which like I know it's helped myself and a lot of other musicians just be able to like get on stage and do what we have to do. Because sometimes you just have to do the job, you know? I've had gigs where I'm playing solo cello and I still feel nervous. Like it's okay to feel nervous even for gigs, you know? And I feel nervous. I feel so nervous that I'm like, I feel sick. And like, I'll take a beta blocker for a gig because I'm like, I want to do the job and get paid. You know, I don't want to run off stage anxious, you know?
Right.
So beta blockers. Another way that I've kind of managed the anxiety stuff, I think anxiety, depression, mental health concerns in classical music specifically, I think a lot of that stems from this idea of like comparing yourself to everyone else, because, you know, everyone is doing pretty much the same stuff you might be doing. You might be playing the same rep as someone, and you know, there's always going to be someone better than you. That's just how the world is. That's just how this particular field is going to be like this, because it's, you know, everyone's playing the same repertoire. But I think the way that I've managed like that specifically, because I did feel like initially when I came into music school, I felt like that took a big toll on my mental health, just feeling like the idea of never being good enough, you know? And you feel that way because you see a child prodigy playing what you're playing 10 times better than you, right? So for me, I think I started to really try to understand like what makes me stick out as a musician and what I can offer that not everyone else can offer, and just acknowledging like, yeah, sure, maybe my technique or something isn't at like the same level as this person, but hey, like I bring this to the table, and like my voice still matters, and I don't need to compare myself to other people, because at the end of the day, like, yeah, maybe if we're taking an audition, we're being compared side to side, but at the end of the day, everything's subjective, you know? Someone could, you know, go either way on a specific day, you know, you just never know. So I just had to like really stop the like comparison of being like, oh, like how do I rank up or stack up, you know? Because at the end of the day, I just wanted to be, I guess, proud of myself and like proud of my work. Like I didn't want to have to like compare myself to other people. I wanted to just feel like, oh, what I'm doing is important. What I'm doing is important, and I'm proud of like the work I'm doing, you know?
Right. And I think because comparison is such a double-edged sword, because it can really help motivate so much.
Right.
But when we're comparing, let's say, I don't know, Jayme versus Rostropovich,
Right.
or
Right.
it's like, do you want to be another Rostropovich?
Right, and it's like, no, of course not.
Yeah.
Like, of course my playing isn't going to be like that, Yeah.
Not
Totally.
to say anything bad about
No, of
Rostropovich,
course,
right?
of course.
Because it's like, if we keep trying to live in the name of the names that were in the past, well, we're going to end up with a lot of people that are never going to beat that. Never going to be the next legend.
Yes.
And I think maybe a big struggle with people our generation or younger, really, is we notice that the legends that there are relatively few. Like, you hear, like 7 different cellist names.
Yes.
We hear like 2 different violist names in front of the legends before our generation. 6 or 7 to 12 violinists if you're on repeat. But I think that's I think the reason that happens, where we only hear those names, is because we really haven't had that much documentation of people that are that good. It's been a relatively short time we've been on this earth and playing music and having, this concept of musicianship. And don't let the number of other people that have had success be a daunting thing. There can be maybe 50 prominent great cellists that are taking the stage every single week.
Totally.
There's a lot of concert halls, hopefully, that remain.
Totally. Well, and I think the other thing that's interesting too is you look back to some of these like legends that were the generation before us, like you said, and I think of like people like Yo-Yo Ma. He's an amazing cellist. Of course, he's like a household name.
Oh yeah.
But I do think that Yo-Yo Ma is so special and so like adored, not just because of his playing though. I think these people, they always bring something else to the table. And I think with Yo-Yo Ma, I think it's his dedication to bringing people together, and it's like this community aspect about his playing. Like, he's always bringing people together, he's always collaborating with people of different cultures, and he's always like looking to bring the world together with music. And I think that is what makes him so special, and that's why he is such a household name,
Yes. His Silk Road project, right? Everything like that is so important, and I feel like that's why people like Yo-Yo Ma or Hilary Hahn have a little bit more pull, because they're using their platform. They're not just absorbing the spotlight for themselves. That's a big thing. Maybe let's talk about this. What going on to that stigma of classical music realm, what is one narrative about a classical musician that you want to end?
One narrative that I want to end.
Yeah.
What I really want to end chai in my throat.
You want to end chai?
I want to end chai. No, the thing that, I mean, I don't know if it's like a narrative necessarily or just something that happens that I see a lot. But what I would love to absolutely stop is I would love for people to just stop saying mean things about other people's playing. And I know that's really like general, but I just get so upset when I see someone working so hard at something, like especially coming from like a teacher's perspective. I like see people where they're at and like, at the like progress point where they're at. And like, I can always see people like if they're working really hard, making all this like great progress, and I can really like see them putting in the work. And then you hear someone else say something like, oh, their intonation is so bad, or like, oh, like they like blah, 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 deflecting on the person when really they're just insecure. I just think to me, like that is like the most frustrating thing that happens in our community every single day. And even like, it's scary sometimes to even just post on social media. And I know a lot of people that do not post on social media because they're afraid that people are going to comment something like that, and like, cause they're their own critic and they're saying, well, I'm playing pretty out of tune, and they're like, well, my intonation is good for me right now, but what if someone else comments something like, oh, your intonation is really bad, and then it like ruins their mood. So yeah, that's, if I could change like one thing, I think it's like always intonation specifically. I'm like, can people just stop making comments about other people's intonation? Like,
it really is.
It's sad, like, because
really
I and I think coming from a teacher's perspective too, it's like, yeah, like of course, if you have a student, if you want to work on things with them, like there's a way to go about like giving criticism in a constructive way rather than just being like, yeah, you sound super out of tune and your intonation's bad, Like I feel like it's like, okay, if you're gonna make a comment about someone's playing or someone's intonation, like give them like feedback, maybe say like, hey, I had this issue in the past too, or like, hey, I've had the same thing happen to me, like I tried this, maybe you could try this too, like it's really that that simple. And it's way nicer to do that rather than just like
or just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, or just say nothing. Or just say nothing.
Yeah.
Keep in your own lane.
Yeah, full disclosure, I used to be one of those people that judge silently.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing that I'm glad I grew out of. But something I noticed is a lot of the times these people that criticize for sound quality, intonation, what have you, I think it's two things. I think it's insecurity.
Insecurity, 100%.
But
yeah.
I think also a lot of the times karma ends up biting them in the butt.
Oh, yeah.
Because the energy they put out.
Yeah.
Right? I think this negative energy, who's going to want to work with somebody who's overly critical
totally
on anything, really?
Yes.
You know, it's like,
no, exactly.
We want honesty. Like in a chamber
yes.
setting, of course, we want to have
yes.
an environment where we can collaborate and make the best
yes.
ensemble possible.
Yes.
But in any capacity, why would you want to, it's like walking up to somebody and being like, your hair looks really bad today.
Right. Right. Instead of being like, hey, you have a hair in your face. Can I help you like fix
right.
this? It's like, no, you just go up to them. Yeah, you look bad. Like, yeah. I agree.
And that's a big thing that I think that people, if they want to improve on their personality, what is it? The golden rule, right? Don't do unto others what you would want.
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
Like, come on. It's
Seriously.
an easy thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing that we want to fix in the classical music world.
Yes.
But we see this in teachers too, right? A lot of people are very overly critical of the students. They come in and say they sound like a dying animal or whatever. And what that usually does, I mean, we oftentimes loop that in with old school teaching, European style.
Yes.
And now we think that the modern day American style is very pampered. But I think there's a nice balance to that. There's honesty without comparing to something that sounds like death.
Totally. And and I think that's the thing. It's like when you're a student, you want your teacher to be 100% honest with you. You want them to help you in the best way that they can help you. But I think like honesty mixed with like construction of like, how are we going to fix this? Mm-hmm. Give you what's happening. Your intonation isn't great. Now you're going to do this and you're going to fix it. And that's the best way to approach it.
Especially when it's younger kids. Like I'm a Suzuki teacher.
Me too.
I think you are as well.
Fully certified through Book 10.
I'm
Thank
jealous.
you to you.
Oh, okay. You had the undergrad
Just
thing.
kidding.
Nice. Yeah, in Suzuki, what is one of the biggest things about Suzuki?
Like music is a language, integrating it into the culture, like nature versus nurture, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
And the responsive children, right? We usually don't even have to correct children. They know what's happening. If you can play it and they mimic it, we're not trying to make them all clones. We're trying to have them embrace their own sound through a model, right?
Yes.
And I think that some teachers need to take more pedagogy.
Totally.
Right?
I agree.
Okay, what about, so you did music production and stuff back in the day, right?
Music production,
I think one of the first things I saw was like playing guitar and songwriting and everything, right?
Yes.
So where is your stages with that?
Yeah, so I started like writing songs when I was in high school. I used to just, I learned guitar when I was a sophomore in high school, and then I just like loved playing chords. Like I just loved playing on my guitar. I wasn't good, but I was like, hey, I can play chords on this. I used to play on piano. I would play little songs on piano, just like make up chord progressions. I had no idea. I didn't know anything about theory, but I just knew like I liked the way it made me feel. So I would just like, make up little chord progressions, align it with some poems that I had already written, because I was like, sad emo girl. Just kidding. But like, had some sad poems to process some emotions. And I just started like integrating that poetry and like the piano and guitar playing with that. And I just started, I think when I was like really like a junior or senior in high school, I really started like songwriting mostly with my guitar. And just anytime I had like a bad boyfriend who was being mean to me, I would write a song about him. Anytime I had a good
Taylor Swift.
like anytime I had a good boyfriend, like or something, it was just mostly about like those strong emotions that you don't know how to process in high school.
Yeah.
So I did that a lot. And then through my undergrad, I continued some songwriting. Recently though, with how busy I've been with the master's degree, I have so many songs that have been written fully, but just never recorded, because who has time to record?
So you're still kind of, still creating.
So I still create, I still write, and especially like in moments of like I'd say like it comes from moments of pretty deep sadness, which
Yeah.
is like, it's like a coping mechanism, of course. But like that is when like my best art is created, So yeah, I do like a little bit of that on the side. I have students come to me and they're like, oh, I saw you like do stuff on Spotify. Can you teach me how to write music? And so I'll do some students want me to do that with them. I'll like kind of walk them through my process, but I'm by no means, I'm not an expert on songwriting. It's just something I do on the side for fun.
Who is?
Yeah, who is?
Yeah. I mean, I did it during an injury I had during COVID.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of that on the electronic side. I was not a singer. No one wants to hear me sing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a really cool thing that classical musicians can do now, is integrate our instruments with songwriting or electronic music or anything production-wise, because it's like we have these electronic instruments and everything.
Yes.
And it's pretty easy now. You don't have to be an expert to do it.
You don't have to be an expert.
The Beatles weren't experts.
That is true.
And look how far they got.
So true.
So I guess since you still create and you're still a musician, you're still an artist, what are you trying to do with the future of all of that? Are you gonna try to create a hybrid artist with everything and unify everything? Or are you trying to keep separate identities and sort?
With the songwriting stuff, like with a lot of the stuff I've recorded, I always add in like some sort of cello line. Like I'll just go and like improv cello lines. I'll just do like harmony cello lines. So that's always been something that I've liked to integrate. So like at least having the cello skills has helped me in that way.
Yeah.
I think eventually, I would love, I mentioned, I think earlier that like one of my dream jobs was doing studio work. And I think partially that dream comes from the songwriting side, because I really, really love, I'd say like, I think a lot of classical musicians, I'll break this stigma right now. I think a lot of classical musicians really heavily listen to classical music. And like personally, and I'm being fully honest right now, I like don't listen to a lot of classical music. Like I really, and I listen to it, obviously.
She did say she was an emo girl, so she probably listens to like heavy metal.
No, I mean like, I obviously like love classical music. I listen to it like, but majority of the time when I'm just doing like day-to-day things, I listen to acoustic songwriters. I listen to like indie artists, like definitely like not classical at all.
Right.
And I think I have like a really deep respect and understanding of that genre as well. Like the folky acoustic, like, even like the bluegrassy influence stuff, like Crooked Still, Punch Brothers. I love all of that, like that genre of music. So I think in a perfect world, and I think this job relies heavily on your location, because like if you're living in Nashville, LA, like things like that. I think in a perfect world, if I could do like, studio work with artists like that who are doing like the like more acoustic songwriting, like Lizzie McAlpine, love her. She's like my girl,
Yeah.
Like people like that, if I could like be like recording cello lines for them, just because I'm so aware of like what that genre is, I think that would be like the dream way of like combining all of my passions.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that you're wanting to be the next
no, and I mean I have horrible stage fright, like we've been talking about, so like I don't know if I want to play an arena.
I think a lot of those people have stage fright too,
of course, yeah.
But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You're trying to find this like middle ground to combine all of your passions.
Like I'd love to be like
with
the
me,
cellist.
coffee.
Yeah,
So
I'd love like if Lizzie McAlpine was like, hey, I need a cellist, like I want to be that first call cellist for her,
Right.
Like that's the dream. Yeah.
Start cold DMs.
Cold DMs. Lizzie, I love you.
Yeah. Do you have anything else that you wanted to bring up as like a?
I think we covered like a lot more than I expected.
We did.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This has been great to talk about a lot of different things, mental health and social media and all of the above.
Yes.
Do you want to shout out your Instagram, shout out your projects?
Sure.
Anything?
Yeah. Follow me on Instagram. It's at Jayme Eck. It's like JaymeEckelo.
Yeah.
Kind of like Jayme Eck and cello combined.
And I will put it in the description, like a real influencer to help out an influencer.
And I also have the same TikTok handle, but I don't do as much on TikTok.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I didn't know you even had a TikTok.
Yeah, it's just the same exact stuff that I post on Instagram.
There you go. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me.